Hello, I've had a request to do a little piece about effects and effects pedals. So we'll have a look at those today. There are sort of three types of effects really. There are stomp boxes, there are multi-effects, and then there are the digital effects that you'll get on your computer. Let's have a look at the stomp boxes first. These are just a box that you stomp on really, which you stand on. You use your foot to turn them on and off, and you can daisy chain these together, as you can see, to create a whole series of different effects. Each box tends to have its own little knobs and switches, so you can set the different parameters for each box, for each effect. So the stomp boxes are still very much in use. They're pretty old now, they've been around for many years, but they still do the job. So here is a rundown of the basic effects that you may come across, some of the names that you may run into. As it explains how they work. This is taken from the No Excuses Guitar Guide. Rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, I thought I'd just use this instead. It is, I admit, guitar playing, but the principle is the same with the effects. In this guide, you roll over the stomp boxes to hear their effect, and a description will appear across here. So I'll let you read those as we go through. So those are the stomp boxes. The other thing you can get, of course, is a multi-effects pedal, which is like a stomp box, except it's got everything in it. So you can set it up for all the different types of effects that you want. For particular songs, for example, you might have one set of effects for one song and another set of effects for another song. And so you can just set these up before your gig, and then you can just stamp on them and press the pedals, and off you go. So there's a whole combination of things. The number of permutations is pretty much endless, to be honest. You can fiddle with them for hours and hours and hours to try and get the right sound. But they do bring everything together into one box, which I think is pretty useful, really. So for those of you recording at home, you may well have a system that looks a little bit like this, a DAW, a DAW, digital audio workstation on your computer. And this allows you to add effects to the tracks that you've recorded. What I've done is I've just taken a little ukulele track and recorded it up here, and this is it, just completely dry with absolutely no effects on it at all. So that's pretty straightforward. Now down here what I've done is I've just copied that track and applied some effects to it. So the first one I've applied is some reverb. And this is all the effects that I've put on here are over-egged quite a lot, just to give you an idea of what you can do. I don't think you'd ever do it quite as bad as this, but well, you might do, I suppose. But this sort of gives it that same track, just played in a cathedral, really. So I don't think you'd put that much reverb on it, anything, but you know, you might do, I suppose. But that gives you a lot of flexibility of doing different types of rooms, which have different levels of reverb and things like that. Then the next one here is, I've called it echo. It's really just delay. I've put a really heavy duty delay on this, so that it just repeats itself. As it plays, it just repeats itself. So it sounds like this. Just goes on and on and on until it completely fizzles out, really. But that's pretty heavy duty delay, really. The next one is a bit of compression. Compression allows you to level out the sounds. If you look at the waveform here, you'll see that the final strum is a bit louder than the rest of it. Graphically, you can actually see that. So what this does, it just levels the sound out a bit, so it's all at the same volume. So compression can be quite useful if you've got varying volumes. Next up, you've got a mastering effect. What these DAWs do, or the digital workstations do, is allows you to string various effects together. And in this particular case, this one is called a pre-mastering, and what it's got is a broadcast quality multi-compression and a little bit of reverb. So it sounds like this. So that sounds quite different to the original track, and of course all of these individual bits here have their own parameters that you can then fiddle about with and change. There are endless possibilities. So, and finally, here's one called a studio setting, which you can apply to a track. I use this quite a lot, actually. It's quite neat. It's got two lots of tone controls, or EQ, equalizers as they're known. Here we've got some compression, it's got a bit of stereo, not that this counts as only on one track, enhancement, and then it's got a bit of reverb at the end, so it sounds like this. So that's sounding pretty different to what it did to begin with. So all these things can be applied to the individual tracks, and then when you've got all your individual tracks sorted out, you can then apply effects to the whole song as well, if you're going to master it. So these are pretty nifty bits of kit, really. and of course a product of the digital age, really. So that gives you a little bit of an introduction into effects and what you might come across. You might hear certain words that are used, and now at least you'll know what they mean, even if you never get to use them. So I hope that was useful, and so until next time.